Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Breakdown. And today we're going to be talking about another topic, another wrestling topic. Oh yeah, the Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh yeah, I'm going to talk about the Macho Man Randy Savage. That's what I want to talk about today. Um, there is some videos that I did in the past, and I thought they were on here, but they're on the old channel. So probably just going to redo them, to be quite honest. Going to redo them. They got a lot of views over there. I'll probably leave them on there. Whatever. But what I did basically is before I would go to Wikipedia and I would kind of just run down what they did. Now, I didn't do it this time, and the way I do it with the camera now, I couldn't really do that. I'm working on trying to get Screenomatic back again, which is not a hard thing to do. I don't have it back yet. And the camera seems to hate me when I do the Screenomatic lately. Like, the camera just does not like to focus on the camera and the TV or the computer stuff at the same time. It just doesn't like to do it. So I don't know if I need to get a webcam or hook up my webcam to here to try and do that. Maybe. Maybe that's the reason why I might need to use the cam. I haven't used it in a while. It's somewhere over here. Floating. Somewhere over there. Floating around somewhere. But yeah. The Macho Man Randy Savage. So the other day I was sitting there with my son and we're kind of reminiscing. I'm talking about the Macho Man, talking about Ric Flair, I'm talking about Dusty Rhodes, talking about Eddie Guerrero. I know Eddie Guerrero's kind of out of place. Talking about all those guys, Jake the Snake Roberts as well. But we're talking about the Macho Man, and my son always asks, "Was he a good guy or was he a bad guy, Daddy?" And I'm like, both. Good wrestlers can do both, and that's a great topic. That's a great topic about is a wrestler good that can be a good guy and a bad guy? And ultimately, the answer is yes, because that means he's multi-dimensional. But let's talk about the Macho Man. The Macho Man, Randy Savage. The Macho King, Randy Savage. So, the Macho Man, Randy Savage, I would love to do a more in-depth, detailed video. But there really doesn't need to be one. If you don't know who the Macho Man, Randy Savage is, this is what you need to do. There are collections. You can go see a collection. This is what you need to do. The first thing you need to do is watch WrestleMania 4. Enjoy it for what it is. Then watch some of the pay-per-views of that year. And I don't know what year. Don't ask. Was that 88? 87? I don't know. Watch some of the pay-per-views that year with Macho Man being champion. But that doesn't really matter. Then watch WrestleMania 5. Now, I don't remember WrestleMania 5. To be quite honest, I do not remember it. But I know for a fact, if you want to know who the Macho Man was, that's a good starting point. And then after that, just Google best stories with the Macho Man. And I think the best stories with the Macho Man, and I'm just going to name off a few. Macho Man and Jake the Snake. Great feud. WWF. Macho Man and Ric Flair. WWF. Macho Man and DDP. WCW. I'm pretty sure they had a pretty good program in WCW, if I remember right. Who else did the Macho Man have a feud with in WCW? I'm trying to think of his major feuds in WCW. They weren't really that memorable, to be honest. I think did him and Hogan have one? Can't remember. I don't know. I don't think him and Sting had one really. Him and Luger, I think, had one, and that was pretty good. Probably because it was fucking halfway shoot, probably. I think Miss Elizabeth was Luger at one point. Um, but Hogan and Savage is up there. But in terms of story wise, I think him and Piper have one? I don't remember. Him and TNA as well. He wrestled in TNA a little bit too. But Savage did. Him and Crush had a good feud too. Um, in WWF. He had some great feuds in WWF though. Um, man, him and the Ultimate Warrior. boy. So, let's just talk about the Macho Man, okay? So this guy came in, super charismatic, okay? Goes far in the Wrestling Classic. I haven't seen it in a while, but I know I watched a review from Steven Larson. They talked about it. And I remember watching it. I remember him going far. I didn't really remember a whole lot of things. Um, man, what a character. I remember watching him in the 1990 Royal Rumble. Now, at that time, he was a bad guy. He was feuding with Dusty Rhodes. That was also a pretty good feud, but it was kind of annoying at times to me. Watching it back, it was just kind of annoying. It didn't really come off as something I thought was probably a great feud. But I mean, I'm sure it was back in the day. So Macho Man, it was Dusty Rhodes. You can't go wrong with two legends like that. But it seemed like they clicked, but sometimes it was kind of off. It seemed like in their segments I've seen with them. Um, but coming off of 1990, he won that tournament in at 4 and 5, and I think this is the Rumble post going into WrestleMania 6. Yeah, so this was going into WrestleMania 6. So he already had lost the title to Hogan because he won the championship. He won the WWE championship at WrestleMania 4. He carried the belt for an entire year. He dropped it to Hogan at WrestleMania. I don't think he dropped the belt before WrestleMania 5 and won it back. I don't think that happened. They didn't do that back then. They didn't hot potato the belt very much back then. I mean, the title barely moved back in the old days. It really didn't. Stayed on Hogan. Went it was at Hogan, and Andre beat him somehow. I think that's what the story was, and then he sold it to the $1 Million Man, and then Jack Tunney stripped him of the championship and said you can't buy the championship, it's got to be earned or whatever, something like that. So the belt gets put up in the tournament. That's how Macho Man won the belt. He carries the belt for a year. WrestleMania 5, he drops the belt to Hogan. Big feud involving Miss Elizabeth. It's one of the most memorable feuds in WWF history, WWE history, whatever you want to say. So that brings us to 1990 when he's in a feud, kind of in a mid-card feud now with Dusty Rhodes. WrestleMania 6 comes, and I think he wrestles Dusty Rhodes, if I remember right. Has to make sense that he wrestled Dusty Rhodes, and probably Dusty got the win, I'm assuming, or Savage cheated, one of the two. I don't remember what happened at WrestleMania 6 besides Warrior and Hogan, to be quite honest. I want to go back and watch it. It's a lot of wrestling I want to go back and watch. I just don't have enough time in the day to watch what I want to watch. Um, but yeah, that's something that I think was great. And then, the Macho Man goes on WrestleMania 7 is when he wrestles. Wait. Yeah. WrestleMania 7 is when he has a retirement match with the Ultimate Warrior, with Undertaker, with the Ultimate Warrior winning, putting Macho Man into a commentator position for most of the year. Um, SummerSlam of that year, you saw Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth get married. And then shortly after, you see Macho Man come out of retirement. They made a big deal about it. Like, people were supposedly signing petitions to get Macho Man to come back to wrestle and all this other stuff. And by that time, everything comes around. WrestleMania 8 comes around. Savage beats Ric Flair with a handful of tights at WrestleMania 8. It was so great. It was awesome. Ric Flair is on his way out. At that point, WrestleMania 9 rolls around. I don't remember what 9 was doing. I think he went back to commentating or something. I think that's what happens. Um, Hogan was still there. I think he was barely on TV. I think he went. I thought he went back to announcing, but no, that was when Jim Ross showed up. So it's kind of weird how Jim Ross shows up and all these old timers go to WCW. It's just kind of weird in time frame. If you look back, you're like, what happened there? Like, Jim Ross showed up and all these other people left. You're like, and he was on. I know he wasn't in charge of talent relations at the time, but it kind of makes you wonder, like, why is that? It's kind of a weird thing to know in history. But 9 comes and go. I don't think he wrestled at 9. I know Hogan and Beefcake were in a tag match, and then later that night, Hogan gets involved. Title, whatever. Yokozuna. Hogan holds the belt until the next pay-per-view, whatever. WrestleMania 10 comes. Oh, WrestleMania 10 comes. I do remember this. WrestleMania 10 comes. Macho Man's in a street fight with Crush. Wait, no, that's not it. What was he in? Oh, he was at WrestleMania 9 because he had a feud with. Wait. Hold on, back this up a second. Is that when he had the Falls Count Anywhere match with Crush? Either 9 or 10, I don't remember. He had a Falls Count Anywhere match with Crush. Brian Adams, later to be known half of the tag team Chronic. And I think he's passed away. Actually, I think he's passed away like 2 or 3 years ago. Brian Adams did, which is kind of sad. But I mean, he's been wrestling like years and years and years. If you want to see a guy that's done some interesting stuff in wrestling, go watch his stuff. Crush. One he was brought in as one part of Demolition, the third member at one point. And then from there he was like the Hawaiian Crush, and then he was like the Heel Crush. Then he was like some crazy tattooed guy with later on. I don't think he disappeared. He came back as part of he was just crazy in this brand. That's a whole other freaking video. But the Macho Man Randy Savage, he kind of just did these kind of stupid things. He did a feud with Crush, Falls Count Anywhere. That's the last time you see him. Last time you see him, he got the win, I believe. That's how he came back. Yeah, that's how he came back. So WrestleMania. No, that's not it. What happened? How did he? No, he was a retirement match. Maybe that was a WrestleMania. No, WrestleMania 8. I know that for a fact. He won the title. I don't know what happened there, but he had. I don't know. I don't know what happened. 9. I don't know what he did. 10. I don't know which one. One of those was there, but I know Piper and Goldust had the backlot brawl at one of those. So was that like? I thought that was WrestleMania 10. They had the backlot brawl, unless that was 12. I think that might have been 12 actually, and 10 was Macho Man and Crush maybe. So that could be it. I don't know. I'll look it up later. I'll let you know in a later video, whatever. But y'all again. Well, I tell you, I'm not tired. I'm not. I'm gonna be up for a while. I'm just saying. But then you get, Savage disappears. He's on TV very much. Hogan shows up in WCW. Everybody's like, "Whoa, Hogan, turn it on. He's on Saturday night. Main event, WCW." And I'm like, why the fuck is he on Saturday night's main event? What's going on? Why they debuted on here? Because I think at the time they had Nitro. They had Nitro. Or that, no, they didn't have. No, they didn't have Nitro yet. That's right. So they didn't have Nitro. So then, Macho Man shows up in WCW. Now I remember this. The Macho Man coming out, and he wrestled. He came out. He did a lot of things. He was Hogan's friend. He kind of showed up with Hogan when Hogan first showed up there, and he was kind of by his side, doing things, doing his thing, whatever like that. I remember Macho Man getting hurt, disappeared, and he did a decent amount of stuff when he showed up, and he feuded with people. I don't really remember too much about when he debuted, to be honest. I remember he debuted in Saturday Night's Main Event because that's where everybody debuted since they didn't have Nitro. But when he came back as the buff Macho Man, and he was ripped and tore up from the floor up. I mean, this guy was always a small, kind of lanky guy. He kind of reminded me of, today's Enzo Amore, because he had a big mouth. He would talk, but he was always lanky. But he could always get the job done because he was always cheat his way to win. It was always awesome. He yanked the tights. He propped his feet up on the ropes to get a win. He was the coolest guy ever. And if you've never seen, like I said, if you've never seen any Macho Man stuff, you got to go back and watch some of those feuds I talked about. Look them up. Look when they happen. It's great. It's great. But I remember him coming back, and he was so ripped. He came in. I remember he was the guest referee in WCW. I think he came back at Spring Stampede '99. I think that's when he came back, if I remember right. Because I remember watching this pay-per-view, and I'm like, ooh, this is when he came back, because they announced there would be a special referee. And no one, and at that time, there really wasn't a dirt sheet. There really wasn't. I mean, there was, but there wasn't really anything out there that everybody looked at to know what the possibilities of who might show up then. Nowadays, you got like 500 people like writing you or having YouTube videos and saying, "Oh, it could be this guy and this guy or this guy." Everybody else is busy. They're already under contract to this and this, this. You ain't got that. So back in the day, when Macho Man came out, everybody was like, "Oh, the Macho Man's back." We freaked out. The Macho Man was back in WCW, and he looked jacked as ever with big old muscles, and had what's his name? What was her name? George. Uh, oh crap! She had the same name as the old wrestler, Gorgeous George. Yeah, they call her Gorgeous George. Uh, God rest it. He's probably rolling over his grave when that came out. But I mean, he probably would have said, "Yeah, she could take my name," because she was pretty good looking. Um, really, really good looking girl. She stayed around for a while. I think she stayed around for about a year. And then it may not even been a year, but she stayed around for a decent amount of time. At least like 3 to 4 months she was around for a while with Macho Man. And I think she ended up either swerving him, going with somebody else, or she just kind of fluttered off into the distance and nothing happened. But I think she stayed there for a good year. And then she just disappeared. Probably because WCW didn't want to pay her anymore. And she wasn't doing anything. She was just a valet. But I remember Macho Man doing so much. I think him and I'm pretty sure him and DDP had a good program. And I know he did a lot with the NWO. He was a vital part of the NWO. He would say, "Oh yeah," and do all that stuff and get everybody going. And the Macho Man, you got to use him. And I remember him. I remember not even seeing him in TNA, but I remember hearing the music video of "Be a Man," and I had the album. I bought the album, and I had it for the longest time. Um, and I had the burnt CD for a while that I kept after I sold it. Because I used to rip them, and then sell the original copies on eBay. That's what I used to do. And, or half.com at the time. But yeah, it was such a great song. And I'm like, this guy's cool. He's going to be a pretty good rapper. Sad to hear, like, 5 years after this, he dies in a car accident. It's the thing where if he would have died any other way, like, just had, medical issues, I think it would have been better. Because being in a car accident, it's like you get your life cut short and it could not even be your fault. And that's the sad thing about it. Like, I would have loved to seen him do more with the company in terms of, behind the scenes and helping guys kind of find charisma and things like that because, good Lord, they need it. Especially now, Jesus Lord. But they're getting better. They're getting better nowadays. But Macho Man, I mean, there will never be another Macho Man. And like I said, the only thing close, which it's sacrilege to mention that Enzo is anything like the Macho Man, but he really does remind me of the Macho Man Randy Savage. And if they would go with some kind of story where he was the underdog and he would always cheat to win, it would probably make him even more popular. And I think that if they go down a road like that with Enzo, they could make him a star like the Macho Man. They can make him a big star if they push him in that direction where he's kind of a cheater, but everybody likes him because he's goofy and he says quirky things, and you can't help but like laugh at him and find him, funny with what he says because he's always referencing pop culture and referencing kind of adult oriented kind of things or like kind of under the bar, like he mentions them like, that's what she said or something, so it's like it gets you. Get you. And he could be a pretty good wrestler. If they give him the opportunity, they can book him as a cheater, and he would be huge. Now, he's on 205 Live now. I don't know what they're going to do with him. But the Macho Man, 1 in a million. My son, I told him, you got to see the Macho Man. And I played him a match. We didn't watch all of it, because it wasn't that great of a match. It was him and Jake the Snake, but it showed two of the things I wanted him to see was Jake, Damien, Snake. Damien the Snake was in the match with Macho Man, which Jake was playing the asshole in this match that I watched with them because he was like taking the snake and going at Miss Elizabeth like, dude, you don't know Miss Elizabeth is a babyface with a heel wrestler. When was Miss Elizabeth ever a heel? She was never a heel. Miss Elizabeth was never a heel. She was with the asshole heel, the Macho Man. That's what the gimmick was. Why is Jake going with the snake at freaking Miss Elizabeth? She's Babyface. What are you doing? She was terrified of the snake, and Jake's like, it didn't make no sense at the time. I'm thinking like, even back in the day, that's wrong. You should have knew that she was like, she was literally. I hate to say this, she was literally an abused female in a relationship. I'm surprised there wasn't like letters sent to the WWE like, if you need help, go to this shelter. Bad jokes all around, but I'm just saying that's what her gimmick was in back in the WWE days. Macho Man, 1 in a million. Miss Elizabeth, bad situation at all times, but she's so memorable. People will remember Miss Elizabeth so much, uh, and you know, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Leave your comments down below. What do you think about the Macho Man? Such an everlasting character. WCW. I don't want to say TNA. I just won't say that. Uh, WWE. I don't know what he did in TNA. Did he do anything in TNA? I think he was part of the group with Hall Nash. Was he part of the Main Event Mafia? I think that was Booker T and Scott Steiner though. That was part of Main Event Mafia. Um, I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't follow TNA history. They're so screwed up. If you thought WCW was screwed up, look at TNA's history. That stuff is ate up. So many wrestlers passing the doors, walking through. Hi, give me the belt. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna lose now. Bye. See you later. That was TNA for you. So many people held the belt, dropped it, left, went to WWE, came back a year later, dropped the belt, got the belt, jumped here, dropped it again, went back to WWE. Pathetic. Anyway, the Macho Man, Randy Savage, Macho King, Randy Savage. Long live the King. Ooh yeah. Snap into a Slim Jim. Forever will he be remembered. The great Macho Man, Randy Savage. Randy Poffo, his real name. There you go. You didn't know that, did you? You probably did. But I told you anyway. I don't care. I'm going to tell you anyway, boy. Anyways, hope you liked the video. Comment down below, all that jazz. You know what to do down there. And see you on the flip side. Keep rocking. Keep on watching wrestling. If you don't, well, let's turn the damn TV out then, alright? Alright, later.